Welcome to another weekend here on the platform. My name is Sam Omashaye.
The Met Zabamari folks were the heads. One after the other, they slit their throats. It was a massacre that at least left 43 dead. The picture of the mass burial where the audacious governor, Babagana Zulum, in a long broken face haunts the nation. It was not that it happened. It is that we are at a point of surrender. The president's routine condolences have become part of the chorus of a national tragedy. We no longer have a strategy or even material to war. It is not only about the Boko Haram. The whole nation crawls in fear. Only those who fly are free. We have asked the president to dislodge his service chiefs. We must have a vision before we task generals. There is a reason for war think tanks. You must think before you roll out the tanks.
So, how was life as a professor of law? You started as an activist.
Yes.
And one would have thought that you would be a politician in the true breed.
You are right.
But what happened?
Yeah. It's a very interesting, it's the Nigerian system. I was in politics. For example, by the time I came back, of course, all the old parties action group had been dissolved. But later, when politics started in 1979, there was the UPN,
Yes.
which I joined.
Okay.
And the think tank for UPN was set up at Ife
Yes.
with Professor Aluko as the chairman, and
Okay.
we were all members.
Okay.
So that's the way we participated.
Mm.
Now, as participating in terms of elections and holding political positions and so on, it was just not possible because I was in your state or Western region. My base was Delta.
Yes.
If I had been in Delta, I might have done that. I might have been able to. But that displacement didn't make it possible for me to really come into politics per se. But we played these roles as think tank, writing papers, and various aspects.
So you became a sort of an intellectual.
That's right.
Spiritual. You were part of the intellectual arm of the political party.
Yeah,
and
because
so on.
That's all I was part of. Everything had to be based on studies
and structure and research.
Yes.
So, was it too much of a structured person that it took away the human aspect of running a party? Because there's always that theory that political parties can become so bureaucratic that they can get out of touch with even the same people they are working for.
Well, those who were close to him, I wasn't that close. Those who were close to him, my contemporaries, said it was the contrary. He would invite them to his house in Ibadan.
Okay.
Molete? Yes, not Molete. What is this place?
What was Molete?
It's just before. I can't remember now the name. I can't remember, but I know it. A small house, a small place. We would invite them there. Young people like me, they would spend the night there. They have dinner, discussing politics. They said he was a very simple man. If you met him face to face, I only met him face to face, maybe on 3 or 4 occasions. But there were people who were really close to him. That he was very tolerant of younger ones. He would discuss. He had a lot of confidence in them and encouraged them, to take part in elections and be more effective and to participate very strongly. That's the impression I was given. Yes.
And then you left Ife to Benin.
To Benin, yes.
To start the
law
faculty.
That's right.
How was the tenure there? And then there was also a turbulent time there in Benin with Professor Alele Williams.
Who was Vice Chancellor.
Yes.
Yes. My first 5 years in Benin were plain sailing. We had Professor Adamu Beiki, who was the Vice Chancellor. He was an easygoing man, who once is put you in position, he allowed you to play your role without interfering, occasionally inviting you to let him know what is going on. And life was easy with him there. And in fact, at the end of his first 4 years, ASU, I was a strong ASU man, recommended that he should have a second term, which he did. And so that's how we did it. The ASU there was a very serious body, led by Festus Iyai, you know.
Yes.
And we had programs which we were recommending to the university to adopt and so on. So when Alele Williams came, you know, she was the first female vice chancellor.
Yes.
And that was being celebrated all over the place.
Yes.
The celebration even went on in Benin, particularly with the female members of staff and so on. But when things settled down, we said, okay, we've celebrated now. Let's get to work. And then we then say, what is your blueprint for running this university? That offended her. That's where the problem started. That demand for a blueprint. She took that as hostility. And progressively things got worse. We got to a stage where being reported to the police. The commissioner would invite us to discuss.
For saying that you wanted...
For being a threat.
To the vice chancellor.
Yes, to the stability of the campus. And that we had connection with students, which in my case wasn't true. So the situation degenerated progressively, and before we knew what was happening, there was a visitation panel, 1986.
Yes.
And after their 6 months' work, rumors were going around that some of us were going to be kicked out. And so nobody wrote anything to me. One morning, I just woke up at 7. A letter was thrust through my door saying that I had been retired with immediate effect for public reasons, something like that.
That was vague.
Yes, for public reasons. And so that's where the problem started. We went to court for the retirement to be declared null and void, because the person who retired us was the military president of Nigeria.
Yes.
But not the visitor.
Not the visitor.
He was the visitor. But he wrote as a military president. And so it was the wrong person in law, as far as we were concerned.
Yeah.
So we went to court. While the case was being heard, I came back home one day, found about 60 thugs in my compound, broke down the door. All my things were thrown on the lawn in the rain. My wife and child all thrown out of the house. So that's what the first very painful incident we went through. So I had to hire. No, in fact, incidentally, they brought a lorry and then put those things they wanted to transfer out. They took whatever they're thugs. So they took whatever they wanted, they took. They put the rest in the lorry and drove the lorry straight to my father's house. How they knew my father was in Benin. How they knew, I don't know. In the case of Festus, they seized his property. He was out of town, threw his children out, loaded his things in a lorry, and locked it up in a store. So by the time he came, no family, no property. But at least my family was intact. I went over to my father's place. And from there, we started continuing our legal action. And but one thing I learned from that is that you do not throw your heart, your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
In Nigeria is just too unstable.
For that kind of
yes, too unstable and too underdeveloped for that. So, whilst we're doing that, I came to Lagos. Luckily, people gave me facility. I set up a law office, and then we're going to court. After 5 years, we won at the High Court. The court declared that the president had no power to retire us. Yes. Only the visitor could, and the visitor did not.
Did not write.
We won there. Court of Appeal, we also won. Supreme Court, we won. We won at all levels. This was a period of 5 years. By that time, the then Vice Chancellor had left. And a new Vice Chancellor came, and that one invited us back. To campus and reinstated us and paid us all the years we were out of campus for 5 years. And so, but I refused to give up my Lagos office. I was driving from Lagos to go and teach, spend 2 days in Benin and then come back because I learned my lesson. So that's
that was interesting. That was an interesting time. But that's what they say, that sometimes every disappointment is a blessing.
Yes.
So you have now you had a foot in and a foot out.
A foot out.
You were teaching and also practicing. How was the tension between theory and practice?
In fact, it was a benefit because what I was gaining from my practice, I was just injecting it into my lectures. So it was a benefit.
Very, very interesting experience. Yeah, because I had that experience in the US too. I was a reporter by day and a university teacher at night. And then I would take some of my examples to go and teach in the evening. It was kind of interesting back and forth. But now you have been fully into practice for a while now.
Before then, in 1996, Abacha was in power, and the ASU went on strike, and they started blackmailing individual ASU people. So I got to the campus to teach one day, and I saw a note left for me by the Vice Chancellor. That's another Vice Chancellor now, who now said that if I did not come back to teach, what happened to me under Alele Williams would be a joke. That's a Vice Chancellor. He left a note, and we're a close friend at that. So when I saw that, I said, no, I'm not going to go through this again. I resigned on the spot and paid them 6 months' salary. And left. Wrote a check for them and left. That's how.
That was the end.
But it wasn't the final end. And I was there, this was 1996. Then 2001, another Vice Chancellor came, invited me again, and pleaded I should come on a part-time basis, which I did it till 2004 when I voluntarily stopped. Yes.
Interesting. And you have been a sort of institution even to students over time. There are so many students so many people have said, this is the man we read while we were growing up. Even they use you as a verb and even as noun. And they said, do you have a sage? Where's my sage? Who took my sage from you? I want to read my sage. Please return my sage.
Right.
That kind of
That's
thing.
the contract book.
That's the contract book. Yes, they said so.
Yes.
And you've had also eminent students like the Minister of Works and Housing, Fashola, who has also celebrated you quite a few times and so on. It must be very fulfilling to be that. Which one is more fulfilling? Being a professor and a birther of gems, or being a senior advocate of Nigeria?
Oh, I think definitely being a professor.
Yes.
Because you have so many children.
Yes.
So many, and a lot of them love you a lot.
Yes.
A lot of them. Yes. You mentioned Fashola, there are others.
Yes. Quite a few have mentioned.
Shown so much love and have been very, very helpful in ensuring that I did not come out to suffer. So it's been wonderful.
Then today you are 80. You have done a lot. People have thought that by now you will retire, but you are still involved. I mean, today people say, well, in one breath you are attacking APC government, the center. At another breath you are defending that you supported the Onoge thing, and now you are asking for Malami's head. So where would you put Sage in the context of this present administration?
Well, Sage has never changed. It's the same Sage. The same Sage that I told you served the action group very faithfully just because I believed in their principles. I act on principles. Accepting to participate in Buhari's government, even on the periphery as it is, based on principle, because I admire him for his integrity, for his honesty, for his determination to stamp out corruption to the best of his ability. So those are the things. And then happily for me, the vice president is of the same mold. So, and that is what I've been doing.
But people have said that the war of corruption has turned on its own head, and even the ability to even secure this country have made the government look inept in many ways.
The security problem is a major problem, and all of us are disturbed. I'm extremely disturbed, and just wonder whether we cannot do better. That I agree. But the corruption side has been underestimated by people who've done analysis of it.
But you are calling for the head of Malamina over Mena. It is the same government.
Over Ibrahim Magu and the way he wants to turn the FCC into his own personal fiefdom, because he felt Magu was too strong and too determined to expose corruption and fight corruption. He was just trying to weaken the place and make it a shadow of itself. And those of us who are involved, because our job in the PACAC effectively is to supervise these agencies. And two of them, EFCC and ICPC, are doing outstanding work. And we are determined, as long as we are still there, not to allow anybody who simply wants to some personal aggrandizement for himself to take power and then weaken the bodies. That's what Malame has always tried to do.
That's the story between Malame and Magu now.
Yes. Just to weaken, take control of the place, take their files, be the one to determine who is to be prosecuted or not, and when to stop prosecuting. Go and enter nolle prosequi without clearance or the understanding of the agency that took the matter to court. So I mean, frankly, I just found that his position was anti the war against corruption.
There are two questions I want to ask before we end. One is the issue the argument I've been having with some people, lawyers and so on and so forth. Because there's this statement by John Adams said, this is a nation of laws and not of men. But we also find that there's a limit to law, that it's a society that has a lot of law, and I did that in my column recently, that no matter how great the structure of law is, if you don't have good people, the law is of no impact.
Absolutely.
No impact.
Absolutely.
So how do we navigate between a good society and a lawful society?
I think you need strong men to support an institution and make it strong before the institution becomes strong by itself.
But how do you become strong and not pervert your strength? And because that has been the situation with us in Africa and in Nigeria. We have strong men, but they become perverse.
Yes.
And so strong men are not using their powers for good, but they're using it for evil.
Self-promotion. Yes, I agree with you. You definitely need a strong man who is principled, has an objective, not personal, to achieve something for society and for the institution whose interest is pushing. Once it deviates and begins to go on a journey of personal aggrandizement, then that's the end of everything.
Now the last question is, people will be wondering, why are you still strong at 80? What is the secret? What people want to know. Everybody asks people with longevity that kind of question.
I don't.
Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it
definitely
food?
Diet. Yes, I must commend my wife. She's very strict about
your diet.
Food.
What you eat?
Yes, mainly vegetables, protein, and things that will make the body work efficiently. All the things that the doctors rule out, I don't eat at all. For example, I don't eat red meat. I eat fish or chicken, because those are the things that do not add to your health problems. She's very strict about that. She's very strict about that, and she has a way of making such meals, delicious at the same time, so you do not
healthy,
crave.
So you don't crave for something
You don't crave for
else.
the unhealthy ones.
Yes.
So in fact, I'm grateful to her for that.
They always say that behind every successful man is a woman. And sometimes more so. So what are we looking for towards the next decade, Professor Sagay?
Well, as you rightly said, I'm 80.
Yes.
I must begin to retire quietly. There's no question about it. But throughout this period, during the rest of the period, I can still operate and act. I'm going to go very strongly towards establishing a judiciary that will do justice. That is my, what word shall I use now? That is a major motivating factor in my life now.
Because the judiciary is being seen as the real problem in Nigeria now.
One of the real problems. If you compare the judiciary we had in the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s and 90s, to what we have now, there's a major difference. In those days, the judges set out to do justice, regardless of who was there. What is even more amazing, they operated under military rule and gave judgments against the military. Let me give you an example. There was this head of the fire service in Lagos.
Yes.
When this NITEL headquarters got burnt in 1983.
Yes.
That was during Shagari's era, actually. Got burnt. And then this man was arrested. Garba was arrested, and then dismissed from service and so on. By the time he brought an action, Buhari had come in December 83 and 84. They passed a decree to say you cannot bring any action questioning any act of government, whether civil service, whatever. This man went to court for a declaration that is sacking was illegal, that he is still entitled to be in the service, and that in any case, even if he's going to leave, he's entitled to gratuity, pension, all his rights, because they dismissed him.
Yes.
So the matter came to the High Court. High Court said, well, there's nothing we can do. There's a decree of the Buhari government which goes right up till the period this man, where all these things happened. That you cannot question the government, and the decree is superior to the Constitution. That was the end of that. They went to the Court of Appeal, the same result. When it got to the Supreme Court, and this is the point I'm making about the Supreme Court, when it got to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court traced the history of the events and found that this offense was committed in May, so-called offense, 1983. There was no Buhari government
at that time.
At that time. So he said this decree cannot apply to an event that occurred before the very government that made the decree came into existence. That was it.
Good.
Then went on to make some profound statements that we as the Supreme Court have established such a status that if a person is injured and comes to this court and there is no law to give him relief, we will provide the relief regardless of whether there's a law or not. That is the sort of Supreme Court I want. We've lost that.
We've lost that.
And I'm trying to bring it back.
Yes. That's something to fight for.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We have had Professor Itse Sagay for these 2 episodes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Just before the program ends, this is my poem in honor of Leah Sharibu.
A woman shed a tear, about a tear on her face, and in her husband struck fear whose private folly made him look sorry and say so in public square. How much, Leah, would you love the luxury of a cry, a lone open will, to state the raw liquid, dam of a wife under the will of a damned man?
Thank you for watching today's program. You can catch up with my published column on www.samumashaye.com. And until next time, be good.